Welcome to Turmeric and Tequila with your host, Kristen Olson. Questioning a better way, one gracefully disruptive conversation at a time.
Welcome to Turmeric and Tequila. I'm so excited to be with you here today. We have a remarkable episode coming at you. This is episode 300. I cannot fully conceptualize that we are at 300 shows. I knew starting this journey, I wasn't going to stop it. Pod fade was a thing, and that was never an option. And at the same note, I had no idea that we would get to 300 and/or all of the things that I have learned and experienced and evolved around and from and for because of this podcast. So we'll start this episode with our sponsors as we do, but even before that, just absolute immense gratitude for every human that has been part of this journey, has supported the cause, has liked the social media, has worn the t-shirt, has showed up at the parties. All piece of it has provided feedback, good, bad, and the other. All of it has mattered so much. So we'll start this off with a massive thank you and sincere giant hug of gratitude to every human in the mix that had any part of this journey. No part of it would have worked without you. So thank you to everyone that has been part of this and has supported the cause in any capacity. I deeply, deeply appreciate you. On that note, let's get to our sponsors. Thank you very much to the one and only Colorado Clownfish Swim School. They are swim lessons and water safety training for all ages. They believe in life skills through sports. So go waterproof your family today, coloradoclownfish.com. And our very special, my new faves, Plantiva, products that you can trust, delivering results that you can feel. So please go check out Plantiva, plantiva.com. I love the humans behind the mission. I do not travel without these products. Allergy, digestive, all the things. Like, I don't leave home without them. Go check them out. So without further ado, let's jump in. This is episode 300. I didn't know what direction I wanted to go on this. Every 100 marker, 100, 200, now 300, I try and do some point of reflection and gratitude or lessons that I've learned over the solo episodes. So we're going to continue on that tradition. And it's what 300 conversations taught me that I wish I had known earlier. And I'm going to break this down. We won't make it too long, but in 10 different pieces. So one as athlete, I said athlete Kristen, young professional Kristen, entrepreneur Kristen, speaker, podcaster Kristen, relationship community lessons, health, hormone, body lessons, what success means to me now, what matters less now, what matters more now, and advice for the next generation. So I'm going to go through each one of those kind of just on the whim because that's how I roll, although we do this all the time. So it's never not in the back of my mind. I have noticed as the more I've done the podcast, the more it just stays in that mode, and things that I'm learning of just continued balance and evolution of being able to be on and be off and go harder and take breaks. And like this continued juxtaposition, like I hate to say the brand, but what it is, the TNT whole mission of finding that balance, seemingly opposing things can harmoniously coexist, even though polarity of it, which was never originally part of the mission, but of being both sides and letting, things, even masculine and feminine things like work together and be different. It's almost like the brand becomes more and more real each day, which just goes to show you how true and real it was, because so much of this I never really planned out. I just started because I just truthfully wanted to start telling the truth and disrupt the game of just because I had great people around me and I wanted to start just having them share their stories as real influencers in the game. So it's evolved to so much more than I ever I imagined. And if you know me, you know I do dream big and I try and see the big vision. Sometimes too soon we get that major cart before the ever-growing horse. But here we are. And it's just that continued message of letting go just to let it happen. And damn, as I reflect, there's so much I have learned that I had no idea about. And just some of these consistencies and through lines that God, universe, Madonna put in there, where this whole time, I think I'm planning it, but not really. stuff I couldn't have planned had just like worked out, and like how much I really did know as a young person. Like, you know nothing, but there's just some things. Hence, I start every conversation with, let's talk about the human behind the mission, because I love the business, I love the journey, but I always love to know how you are as a kid, because I do think things are in the stars early, and I was no exception to that rule. So I love that I'm even between that from the get-go. I just wanted to know. These are just questions I wanted to ask. It was never like this big branded intentional storytelling journey of how do we sell this, how do we package this. It just was. So I'm very appreciative that God, Universe, Madonna have looked out and have created this space, or held space, or did whatever they did to allow this to happen, because I have truly learned so much. And I hope everybody that's come on the show and been in touch with this mission have learned something about themselves as well. So I'm going to start with athlete Kristen. And this has been very interesting, because obviously I wouldn't consider I'm an athlete, but obviously I'm not doing anything athletic on the show. I'm very animated, and usually my heart rate is over 130 because I get too excited about these things. So I'm almost like competing, and like my body's in athletic mode, and I'm in competition mode, which is so real. Even I noticed when I'm speaking, I just posted a post not long ago of me, a snapshot of me on stage speaking, and it's like my exact competitive look when I'm about to walk on stage and compete for lacrosse or CrossFit. So it's wild how that athlete as a young person, that really authentic, uh, you know, unfiltered little human is still there, and it's still exactly how I approach this. And it's very important to me. The messages are really important to me. It's very intentional. It is like I'm competing to go to the NCAA championship or the CrossFit games, and yet it's for the conversation, or it's to get on stage and to speak about things. So my athletic self has really learned and shined through this, and the skills that I learned being an athlete, discipline and bleeding the cause and showing up to compete, and letting go to knowing like you don't know what the outcome is going to be of the game, but you just have to show up and give it your best. And all of those life skills through sports have shown up on the podcast in so many ways. And I never thought that I would have needed them. I didn't think I would look at this as competitive, and not that I need to be better or more than or anything other than what I am in comparatively to other podcasters. It's just I'm competing with myself to be the best version of myself and the best host that I can be, and deliver the messages even better or sharper or clearer, or just continue to evolve as a communicator, I would say, even before a podcaster, and how like those athletic skills have shown up for me as a podcaster. And I do think, even though my body's beat to shit and I'm tired, when I go to compete still in CrossFit or any capacity, even stepping on stage as a speaker, those skills have really sharpened, and I do feel like I'm a better competitor. Even though my athletic body is not as strong as it once was, or I can't do some of the things I once did, my competitive spirit and me as a competitor is sharper than ever. And I encourage all of my, like in my mature athletes or aging athletes, to find a way to take those athletic skills, those life skills, and channel that competitive energy into the next thing. I'm so thankful. So much of my lacrosse journey and CrossFit journey didn't go the way I wanted, because it maintained that chip on my shoulder in the best way, and that competitive fire to still compete. It just looks different, but that fire, that energy, I'm stepping on stage or I'm getting on the mic, like I am in that exact competitive mode that I was stepping on the field or walking onto the game's floor in. And there's nothing on my mind but executing the task at hand, and how do I show up as the best version of myself and just straight up compete. So the athlete is more alive than ever. My athletic performance is just totally different. So I hope that lands. Young professional Kristen, this I've talked about this a little bit on the podcast, on some prior podcasts, but I found some letters, or a letter I wrote, unpacking stuff from my childhood home. And I'd written this snowboard company, and I'd forgot in like middle school, 5th, 6th, 7th grade. Actually, I think it was 7th, 8th grade. I got this like Beckett, or like this like magazine book that had a bunch of addresses of like snowboard and skate companies. And back then, like Stussy was big and whatever. I snowboarded, but I didn't skate. I was very far from like the grunge. At that era, I was watching The Bodyguard and listening to Whitney Houston. I was like, the pop princess that I am now. And most of my friends were doing like the grunge thing. So it's like a divide. However, we love them dearly. It was just different, and we remain different to this day. Hence, I'm in the outfit I'm in right now. If you're watching on YouTube, we'll talk about that in a second. But I started writing these companies just saying like, will you send us free stickers? I'll put them on my binder, like advertising. And I literally wrote this out. This is 1995-ish. So like there's no influencer marketing. There's none of this. I don't even know why I was thinking like my binder was marketing, or like that would even promote sales. I have no idea what my young self was thinking, but I literally wrote out, send us free stickers, and it's like free marketing and whatever. And it worked. I had like hundreds of stickers from Type A, from Burton Snowboards. Oh my God, there's so many that I can name that I saved a lot of these stickers. I found them and I put them in a binder, and I didn't even like stick them onto my binder. I taped them so I could reuse the sticker or something. I don't know what I was thinking, but I preserved them and I kept really nice. Like I had these huge type A stickers that I put on like snowboards and stuff. And they wrote me back. And I even had one that hand wrote me a letter back that said, "Thank you for your interest. We'll send you some stickers." I think I pitched them to do some of their designs, which is funny because I'm not a designer. I did a little bit of art. I'm like an okay artist, but like by no means should people be paying for my artwork. So they were like, "We can't buy art at this time," or something. And the guy was like, I'm sorry this letter's so long. I'm switching everything over to email. So email wasn't even a thing back then. God, I feel old, but it's cool. We're here to age in the best way. Botox and cortisone. Let's go. But it was cool just to see, like, even then, like I was writing them and like we're switching things to email. So this whole transition, this weird kid talking about marketing, at 7th, 8th grade was so crazy. Anyway, so it worked. Like I kept writing companies and we got stickers. I was even selling some of the stickers in my school and I had other kids doing it. So influencer before influencer was a thing. This was not to make money. It was just like a fun thing. And I don't even know why I wanted to do it. I just did it. And I just loved that like I could communicate with companies and I have no idea. It was weird. Anyways, fast forward. That was like the beginning of the journey. I completely forgot about this. So young professional, like I always think that started when I graduated college. So I talk about on the mic of, I didn't want to boss anymore being a D1 athlete. I just wanted to start an entrepreneurship, but really even that lacrosse process of starting Colorado Rising Stars Lacrosse, I didn't want to boss. So I started a lacrosse company that did camps, tournaments, team sales. You can listen to many episodes prior to this. I think even 100 and 200, I talk about this full story of why I did it and how I started reaching out to companies and asking them for product and sponsorships to help facilitate lacrosse so I could keep my stuff for free and just further the message. So diversity and inclusion and accessibility and, marketing, branding, influencers. I didn't know any of this stuff. And like I majored in business, but we weren't talking about this stuff in college at the time. So I was just doing stuff that was like in universe. And I'll take credit where credit's due. Like, I don't know if you want to call it, I was ahead of the game. Maybe I was some baby genius. That's reaching. But I just did what I thought made sense. I just did what I wanted to do. So it's very weird that Instagram became a thing, reaching out to social media became a thing. And really what I did with CRS Lacrosse, like writing those snowboard companies asking for free stickers and then in turn I'll put them on my binder as like marketing. That is what I did with CRS Lacrosse. And I found sponsors to facilitate and help and sponsor the lacrosse process and teach lacrosse. And then fast forward to KO Alliance and CrossFit. I was working with sponsors and helping companies align key voices and do branding and marketing just on a different level. So it's so wild to me. Without my college education, without my life experience, in 7th, 8th grade, I was already doing the thing I was going to be doing at 45 and beyond. Well, who knows what we're going to be doing in 10 years from now? I have no idea, but it's crazy. So I always encourage my people, think back to that thing you did as a kid and see if it's something similar to what you're doing right now. And if not, maybe get back to that and get back in alignment, or take the gold star of like, you're doing what you're supposed to be, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, and you are in alignment and the gold star is there. So my young professional self was in it early. And I encourage my parents, like, listen to your kids early. Like, so little as a young person, and yet you do know a lot of your soul and who you are. And it's so unfiltered. You're just doing and you're just being before the world gets to you and tells you how to be and what to do. Like, you're there. So try and channel that piece of it. Cause my young professional self was on it in like 7th and 8th grade. And I'm not telling you I didn't have shit to figure out, because I did. There was a long learning journey in there. But that base intel of me just reaching out and creating partnerships and asking and trading likeness and working together and like this creative strategy, it was all there and happening. So the young professional self, I had it then. And again, fine tuning, but it's really remarkable to look back and be like, oh my God, I knew something. It wasn't all a wash, but I knew something. So I actually lean back into that energy and that purity now at 45 and beyond, because it was so pure and it was so authentic. It was never about the money. It was never about huge partnerships or big likes in social media. It was just because I wanted to do it. So we're leaning back into that. And that leads to Entrepreneur Kristen. The entrepreneurial stars were there, and I had done lemonade stands and I had done all those things. So again, take time to reflect on what you were doing as a kiddo and really think about, like, what did you want then? What was important to you? Why were you doing those things? Why was I doing that? It was like literally for the joy of it. And I loved working with companies. I loved working with other dreamers and representing their brands. I loved like the designs and the stickers and like the creative weird stuff they were doing. Like, I just loved it. And I love that they cared about kids in middle school, and like that they even thought like sending them stickers, even if the cost was small, like handwritten notes and stickers, was just so cool. And I actually think it's even cooler now because it's so unheard of. So to all my companies out there with young people reaching out, listen to them. take their advice, put stickers on their binder, like believe in them, because our kiddos are so ahead of the game even before they know it. Even if they lose traction in spaces the way I did, like they'll get back to it, and it's good for the heart and the soul. It's also good for the marketing. So that visibility is big. And me as an entrepreneur, like I said earlier, I lean back into that authentic self and like, what was the joy and the fun? And I feel like the more I stay in alignment with that as an entrepreneur, the more things work. Opportunities come in, humans that I know and I align with and I want to work with come in. Like it just sort of flows. And this is where my athletic heart kind of took me off path, because as an athlete, you always want to be doing more, training harder, really having this masculine energy of doing, where my authentic self is being a female, being a strong female, is being in that feminine and letting things come in. That is my authentic self. I had $1 million growing up, and it's not just about, doing quote unquote girl things and dolls and dresses and all that, and then masculine is fitness and whatever the society stereotypes those two things as. But masculine's doing, feminine's being, very much in myself. I love being still or being at home, being calm. It's not super comfortable all the time because I do have so much over my mind of like things I have to get done. But my authentic self is being and loving and nurturing and community and my people and that kind of feminine energy. And then masculine doing, I got very good at because I'm an athlete and I'm a doer, and training and just controlling and all that. It's almost like those competitive skills took me a little bit away from that feminine energy and being, where things did come in. So me, again, turmeric and tequila becomes more and more real as I get older, of finding that in between, that ampersand of like, okay, I'm authentically feminine being energy, but I love the masculine doing, being proactive, going after it. How do we find that balance in between? So it's so weird how like I love turmeric and then I loved tequila, and we, party and balance and finding the in between, seemingly opposing things can harmoniously coexist. But as I get older, the polarity and like how it's just become more and more true. So I'll take credit for the good branding. But really, God, Universe, Madonna like stamped this on me and was like, no, bitch, this is what it is. And you're going to continue to unpack and understand. And that's also the truth. So I'll give credit where credit's due. Also take credit where credit's due. But man, it's right in the middle. It's right at the ampersand if you're watching this on YouTube. Speaker podcast, Kristen. So the speaker thing was always there because I was a coach, athletically, like all through middle school and high school. That was my first job, teaching 8th graders, coaching them in lacrosse. And then that's how we paid bills in college. And then I was a head coach for 10 seasons after college. And then now I'm coaching professionally for business and entrepreneurs. So I was always kind of speaking to some audience. It was just a little bit unaware of how that skill set was becoming polished. And now this year, as I've had more formal speaking opportunities, it's been awesome. And I love it. And stepping onto stage when you're not athletically competing, but your mindset's there, is like you get hyped up and I'm there. And I like my warm up is the same as me going to do an athletic situation. I might not be lifting 200 pounds and whatnot, but I'm stretching, I'm rolling out. I'm thinking about my pregame music. Like I'm eating correctly. Like I'm doing all the stuff. And you get on stage and it's like, and you have to like settle in. And so it's a very bizarre thing for me. And I don't think I'll ever be the speaker that comes in and like draws you in and It's like, I'm coming at you. Like, what's going on? Let's get hype. Let's figure it out. And I'm finding my lane of how that works. I'm not going to tell you I'm a speaker for every event or for every human, but my version of that is coming through and it's continuing to build. And as I said earlier, the more I watch other speakers and train how they do it, it's great intel. And I have to stay in my lane of me doing me the way I do it. So if you're listening and you're wondering, like, how do I find my social media voice? How do I find my speaker voice? How do I find my athletic voice or my performance, whatever it is? Do you? And that's kind of where I go back to that young version of yourself. Figure out the way you move through this world and bring that to the athletic field, bring that to the stage. And that might take a minute to figure it out, but anytime you're doing or emulating what someone else does, it doesn't work. And I've tried things like that just to get better, even like athletic moves, like you try and do a dodge like somebody else or whatever. You always have to put your own spin on it, no pun intended, on the dodge or the speaking gig or whatever it is, because it's got to be how you are. And don't worry about how people are going to receive that. I always worry, like, I talk fast. Is it going to be too much for some audiences? And for some things, yeah, some things it's not going to be a fit. But for most things that are in alignment and coming through, your fit, your audience, your people will come through and you will find your lane. You really do just have to stay true to who you are and what you're doing. I just gave a speech in Florida. It was probably the biggest speaking gig, I want to say. I mean, they're all a little bit different, so big is always subjective. One of the bigger ones that I've done thus far. It's the biggest stage, the most lights, recorded the whole thing. And I got to walk out to Salt and Pepper, Express Yourself. And that's like a song that was like my Bible growing up. And, you only have once, you're not coming back. So express yourself. Like, oh, I don't want to cry. It's too early in the show. But it's so profound to me. And it's so just like, as you're young and it's pure, and then you go on the life's path, like you start to just do what you think you're supposed to be doing. And as much as I thought that I wasn't doing that, I was. And these past 10 years have really, particularly with the podcast, it's a reflection because it's recorded and you have to watch stuff on video, which is always fucking weird. Of, oh God, that does sound like me. It doesn't sound like me, or I'm doing it like someone else, or I was trying to do it a certain way that wasn't me, and you see it. And it's such good practice to be like, no, dude, just stick to who you are, stick to what it is. And it's such a cliche, but express yourself in that authentic space. Otherwise it doesn't work, and you're going to ebb and flow on and off that. But when you stay in alignment and you get clear on who you are, it does get easier, and you just do. And you just don't worry about what everyone has to say and think and do. And being a public speaker is hard because the audience is right there. Even social media, like you're a screen away, there's some distance. In real life is wild. Like you're standing there and you're like a circus animal, and you're like, okay, judge me. What do you think? Does my life story that I told you, is it good? Did it hit? Did it suck? Like, what do you think? Like, it's really hard. But the more vulnerable you can be, the more real, even if I'm talking too fast or whatever it is, whatever my fears are, don't matter, because I do get continued validation and feedback. They're like, oh man, that hit. Or parts of this, like, yeah, man, you do talk fast, East Coast energy. Or you remind me of my crazy friend Stephanie that does this. Like, I've heard of you crazy stories, but it's also so cool because I get like this really weird, cool, authentic feedback of like something. Nine times out of 10 it is positive. I've gotten some things back, but that's okay. That's part of it. You're not out there and living if you're not getting negative feedback in some capacity. But the positive stuff is like, you remind me of someone I know, or this really hit home. Parts of the speech that I didn't even think would matter, or I can tell the audience like take a breath or space. Like, it's a really weird learning journey as a speaker of how real and in person that experiences and how raw you are, and in the moment of like the feedback is in real time, and like you're seeing the audience. So it's pretty magical. And I'm not going to say it's more magical than sports, because there's nothing like being on a floor and competing and like hitting a goal or hitting a lift or having a moment with your teammate where you just fucking executed, and it's so awesome. But speaking is similar, and I didn't think, God, universe, Madonna, have a sense of humor. I didn't think I'd have that competitive outlet this stage in the game the way I do with speaking or being on the mic, and it's there. And like I said, I feel like more sharp as an athlete, as a speaker, as an educator, or even just more as a human, of being okay being like, this is me. Like, you might not like it, you might not identify with it, you might not whatever, but you might like it, you might identify with it, this might be useful for your journey. And that's what you hope in sports. Like, you compete to win and have that feeling and show up and like mark that stamp in time of like, you trained for the thing, you did it, and you executed. And that's how I look at speaking. Like, I trained for the thing, I hope I execute, and I hope you feel something from me being in the room for you, not even for me. It's never about me, it's always about the audience and what you're doing. So I hope that lands to my fellow speakers or my future speakers that want to get on the mic or podcasting or whatnot. Like, just share the journey and lean in with those vulnerable moments, because you really never know how it's going to land, just like a sports moment can make the audience feel. And that's the magic. And it's vulnerable because you will mess it up, and it's going to be messy, and it's beautiful, and if it's live, and it's human, and it's really special. So me as a speaker, me as a podcaster, has become more and more of a role that I've embraced. And I think it's always been there, I just didn't realize it and understand what it needed to become. And I'm still letting that unfold and seeing how that shows up. I don't really know where that goes, because I'm not like most speakers, and I'm not your average speaker. I want to say I'm some cross between like Mel Robbins, Salt and Pepper, and Susan Powder. Remember her from back in the day, and just crazy energy. And I am not as polished as any of those humans. So I'm just saying, if you mix them up and remix them into a mixed tape, I think some version of that would be Kristen Olson and Turmeric and Tequila. So take a moment and think about like, who are you on the mic or speaking, or even just being a speaker for your kids, or a coach, or an audience leader, because we're all influencers at the heart. I won't go down a marketing rabbit hole, but we're all leaders and speakers in some capacity. I'd be curious to know like, who's your remix of the people that you pull from, or you would identify yourself as. Number 5, relationships and community lessons. Oh, this is a deep one. We're not going to go too far off here, but relationships are interesting, because when you hear, as you podcast, and as time goes on, even if you just reflect your own journey, you're not recording it, it's very interesting to see how you evolve. And you don't know, because time, chip slowly and you change and you don't even realize how different you become and how similar you are again to your young self, that in between. But I noticed a through line of like my narrative young was I saw my parents' relationships or relationships around me, not even just theirs. And they did get divorced and that's a whole thing, but it's all good now, meaning like it's all where it needs to be. But my young self was I never wanted a relationship to be my story and the thing that ran my life. For some reason, that's what I pulled, not only from my family experience, but from many relationships around me. It was just all about who you're married to, who you're dating, and all you talk about and what you do. It just worked around that. For me, it wasn't even that I loved or hated marriage or anything. It's just I didn't resonate with my soul for that to be my life mission. And for everyone that put their marriage and their family first, I truly commend you because I do think that's what both of those things require. That was never my path. And I don't know what's in front of me, but as I've watched back on conversations or hear myself talk about things, I didn't want that to become the thing. However, as much as I tried to avoid those things and relationships and that being the one thing, I let many single things become the whole thing time and time again. My business, lacrosse, CrossFit, training for CrossFit, even the podcast. I am not good at, and as universe shows up, it's teaching me as I think I'm teaching. I didn't have balance. And that's kind of the funny thing with turmeric and tequila. And I'm still unpacking this to this day and probably will for the next 100 or whatever, or however long I live, however long my joints can last. I I still did it. I still let the thing become the whole thing. So I didn't want the relationship to be the thing. My relationship with sport, my relationship with competing, it took over. So I think I had some genetics, some generational narrative where it didn't show up the way I thought it was going to. And I thought I was keeping it up, but it was showing up in other ways, still doing the thing. So take a moment and recognize in your life all this stuff you tried to push out and it showed up anyways. And that's not bad. It's just that showing you that we don't have control over so much and that the lesson's going to come through no matter what, matter how much you think you're controlling it or avoiding it or whatever. So it's been a good lesson for me to stop trying to control things and stop thinking that I can control things and stop avoiding things. Like so much, like I don't think I ever really knew what I wanted in life, but I knew what I didn't want. And pushing stuff out and keeping it away didn't work because it just showed up in other ways. So there's a lot we can unpack here. Go talk out to your therapist or, professional in that capacity of how things are showing up. The key takeaway is the awareness and just taking inventory and be like, all right, I thought I did this, but did I really execute or did I control this piece? And the answer is likely no. And then just readjust. Be like, okay, you're right. Let's find some balance with relationship. Let's be open to relationships. There's an idea. Maybe it doesn't have to be the way you thought it did. And I know this at this point, but continuous reminder and awareness. Let's have some balance with fitness. Let's have some balance with party. Let's have some balance with, training and work. And honestly, I probably need more party and fun in my life in general. I know how my social media looks, but I love my job. I love working. I love discipline. I love consistency. I love doing all the things. And the more you do, the better you get at the thing. And no, sometimes you just got to take a fucking breath, have a drink and relax. I've said this so many times. So community and relationships has been an extraordinary learning piece through this podcast and being able to see myself and hear myself talk about certain things and even just see my energy on the camera. But also just see like how much I focus on competing or this or how things did take over in my life. So it's been a great tool to hold me accountable, which is kind of crazy. I didn't see the podcast as that. And I'm sure if I watch this in 20 years, I'm going to have so many cringe moments being like, oh my God, this sounds so off, or I knew so little then, or whatever. I'll of course be critical. And I hope that I can look back and be like, God, I did a really good job as a 7th, 8th grader writing letters to companies or showing up in every speech that I give, talking about my gold star moments. If you know, I talk about this in every speech. It's not about what society's giving you gold accolades for or things. It's your personal moments in life that give you gold stars. Tune into one of my speeches. And this has continued to be the things I'm proud of, like my life human moments and not so much the medals and the marathons and the awards and titles. It's that human in between. So relationship with my community is everything. I know how much I need my team and my people. That is what makes my heart beat. But most importantly, my relationship with myself and giving myself grace in things, because as much as you do try and know things, there's just so much you don't know. And at the same time, as that young person, your soul knows. Listen to the soul. The 0-year-old that was writing the letters or doing whatever you did as a kid, the soul knows. So there is at the same time so much that you do know cling to that self-expression. I love that I was listening to Salt and Pepper on repeat and Madonna expression and Paula Abdul and like all my early like strong women, Janet Jackson, talking to Rhythm Nation and like social disruption and all like these seeds were planted so early that have continued to unfold over the next 30 plus years. So be open to learning, but also cling to what the soul knows. Health hormone body lessons. Well, holy shit. This one we've learned so much and have to learn so much more. This one I'm excited to continue to talk about as 300 plus continues because women's health we know is understudied. Just again, but though getting back to knowing your own body, talk to all the professionals in the world, but pay attention to consistencies in yourself. Get the trackers, do the blood draws, but watch consistencies for you and know what works for you. I've tried many nutrition things, paleo never worked for me. Counting macros actually did, working with my longtime friend, sister, nutritionist, Jackie Miller, shout out JMR Wellness, give her a shout. Like working with her and watching her journey and getting advice from her consistently. I'm lucky I get to train with her on the daily and ask her questions all the time. What do you think about this? Like find your people and then know your body and know what works for you. We are going to continue to dig into all health and wellness things on this podcast and really get into the minutia. But the through line for that for me is knowing my own body, knowing what works, because some things work for everyone, don't work for me. My body's my skin sensitive. I inflame off the dumbest crap. But I know tricks and trades. That's why turmeric's so important. That's why I drink tequila versus other alcohols. Like know what works for you without going into too much detail there. Success for me now, what success means now. I'm going to be honest. Success right now, I usually talk about the non-measurables, the gold stars. That is the truth. In my heart, I need to know that this matters. And I do. I'm more clear than ever on where this needs to go, meaning I don't have a roadmap. I'm very intentional on like the people I want to bring in, the conversation I want to have. And I want big sponsors. I want the platform and the funding to get to the next level, not even for me and my voice, but for the humans I'm crossing paths with, the entrepreneurs that have these incredible missions that need the visibility and discoverability, my intentional people that just want to positively impact the world. Come through sponsors, partners, people, like get in the mix, my fellow speakers, like let's unite, let's build this team like an athletic team and get to the next level. That is success to me. Like us, good people doing good things and finding the funding to do it and then to be able to disrupt in the best way, big food, big pharma, but mostly just get humans to advocate for themselves in the most basic way, where it all started, question a better way. It's that fucking simple. Truthfully, I just want people to have the awareness for themselves and plant that seed of advocacy for yourself and awareness for yourself, and then come through to the show to see who's doing what in what way, how it can inspire you, and then the funding to make that more and more visible. So that's success to me now. What matters less now? I hate to say the downloads and everything, visibility do matter, but like those measurables absolutely do matter. But I really do care about reaching people and like them translating whatever intel we have for how it works for them. I hope that makes sense. So you taking what we're putting out there and you make it make sense for you. And this is what I did as a kid, because not a lot made sense to me, or not, I didn't dream of the family and or the traditional dreams. Not that any of those things are bad. I just dreamed of different things, and I was the weird kid that didn't want it. So for some reason, I think I thought I had to fit into society or want those things or pretend that I wanted those things, which I never really did. Or explain myself, like over explain why this and why that. And no, just get back to what you want. And I think that's why I'm passionate about showing all these examples of people doing things different way, questioning a better way, questioning things your way. So you know that you can stay authentic. You don't have to search and learn and do what you will, no matter what. Even if I'm telling you, like, just people told me I wasn't listening and I probably won't listen now, but you're going to go on that journey, but stay true to yourself. And we've heard it 1,000 times, but find that way to go back to that young self and really get in the mix and let those things that don't authentically matter to you matter less. Like, let it matter less. And I say now, like, society's reaching and all those things, like there's always some piece of me that's like kind of a people pleaser and I want to do the thing that speaks to the masses and connect. But a lot of it is like, I am weird and different, and I did want different things, and I do want different things, and I have to stay true to that. And I know my fellow people that are doing it different or weirdos like me, like, you'll come through and we will speak to the people we need to speak to, and the other people will find the people they need to speak. Like, there's enough for everyone. There's plenty to go around, and everyone has their leaders or their team or their influencers or just their best buds, and it'll shake out. So I mean, what matters less now is just the stuff that doesn't matter to me, and that's so simple and maybe cliche, or maybe it doesn't make sense. I don't know. All I'm saying is if it authentically doesn't matter to you, let it fly. And that's where I'm at right now. What matters more, the people that I can reach, the ones that I authentically speak to, the ones that authentically spoke to me. I'm a documentary nerd. I didn't learn out of books. I didn't want to read fiction. I'm not into Marvel and all these things, and I love fantasy and dreamers and all the in between. But I loved seeing people actually do the journey and how they were resilient in their human moments and how they made the business happen and how they overcame devastation and all like documented. Like, I want to hear the real journey. And that's why podcasting speaks to me, why it's still so important to me, because I want people to see real life examples. I didn't make any of this up. I didn't curate any sort of magic or storyline. This is real people doing it. If they can do it, you can do it. So that matters to me more than ever. And it's really that simple. And which leads us to my advice for the next generation. I'm going to keep this so simple and straightforward. And this is going to be wildly ironic and such a juxtaposition to me being on the mic and you perhaps listening to this, but to all my people, but particularly my young people, stop listening. Listen to the show, whatever, but listen to yourself. Go within. I think one of the best and worst things I ever did was I was just straight up not listening to what other people had to say. I didn't care. I was so God, universe, Madonna, hyper focused on this pull, and that pull, and I hope this lands with people, but this pull to keep showing up and serve this mission that I can't even fully articulate. I told you at one point in time, I wrote down to inspire positive radical social evolution. Who says that, who talks like that, I don't know, but it made sense. I wrote it down. And even before then, when I was writing letters to snowboarding companies, and then I started this business and I walked onto this team that I didn't deserve to be on. I started competing in CrossFit. I knew what most of the movements were. Like, I was just in it, and I had this internal pull to keep showing up, and I just didn't listen to people. I didn't care. I like, the pull was stronger than whatever they had to say. And so many great pieces of advice along the way probably would have streamlined my process and helped me out. But I think for me in particular, so I say get to know yourself, I needed the hard lesson. I needed to do things my way to learn. So like, that learning lesson just left a mark and left a stamp. And I've had many breakdown and breakthroughs that almost took me out because I didn't listen, or I had to do it my way. And now I can authentically say, because I didn't have a lot of relationships growing up, like personal romantic relationships, or I kept some things out, I am probably more my authentic self than most people that had those relationships, or that maybe they needed their journey. They needed that influence, because a relationship early on is very influential who you are, just like your parent relationship or your friends. These are big markers that help develop who you are and your journey. So I didn't have it there. So I am who I am, for better or worse, because I lacked a lot of that influence. However, influence came through athletics and other things. So there's never right or wrong in these things. It's just going within, listening to yourself, having that continued awareness. And I lost so much of this along the way. But now my advice, once again, is take intel in, have an idea on the journey, but truthfully, just listen to what's within and follow that pull, that purpose that's driving you forward, regardless of what everyone else is saying. CrossFitters don't make money. Women's sports isn't going anywhere. Podcasting doesn't make any money. There's no future there. No one's listening. Everybody has a podcast. Again, there's no one in the stands to watch you compete as a female athlete. Nobody cares about your binder. Like, whatever these stories are, because there's always going to be someone. Let the haters hate. And honestly, let them come through on social media. Engagement's a thing. Just stay in that tunnel vision to knowing what you want to do, and don't let anything go. And I think that's the best advice I could give to any of my podcasters, speakers, entrepreneurs, people getting on the mic. Just stay true to the mission and let go enough. It's going to be hard. You're not going to have the path figured out. I still don't. But I know that I'm supposed to be doing this. I know that I'm supposed to be here. And whatever my intentionality is of like helping the world or inspiring this and that, it's going to, you might take something completely different from this, or I might just be a use of how you don't want to be, whatever it is, whatever you're taking from this journey. I know God, universe, Madonna has me in this space, like just like they have you in your space, contributing in some capacity to be useful to this world. And it's happening. It's working, regardless of downloads and affirmations or people's opinions. It's all working. So there's big things that I want. There's big goals that I have. I want massive funding. I want 150K a month. I want huge audiences, but mostly I just want impact and internal peace. If you could have all those things, turmeric and tequila, at one time, that's what we want. Maybe it's crazy to want those things. I don't know. I don't even have any real answers other than stop listening, just go within and just keep showing up, because the path will reveal itself. And I hope you've checked out some of these 300 episodes, not only because of my intel, and there's so much to learn from my success, but so much even more to learn from my failures, but all the people I've interviewed. There's so much intel that can complement your journey and you can take in and you can hear. But again, stay true to what you are saying within and what's within your heart, and listen just enough to hear it, but stop listening to anything that's going to take you off your path, because at the end of the day, nobody knows you, your wellness, your mindset, your vision, your nutrition, your body. Like, get back to that Salt and Pepper song. You only have once, you're not coming back. So express yourself, find out what drives you and holds you true to it. Madonna, I didn't start singing because I had the best voice. I started singing because I had something to say. It doesn't need to be perfect. Just start your journey, find your purpose, let the path unfold, and God damn it, just enjoy the process. So many times when I wasn't good at CrossFit or lacrosse, or the pivot point of all those things when I started to approach failure, was when I quit having fun and I made it too much of a business and I made it too much. I tried to control more and do more versus just leaning back into the joy and why I started the freaking process from the beginning, because I wanted to compete, because I love lacrosse, because I love CrossFit and I love being with my teammates and I loved feeling my body do really heavy lifts and things, podcasting, having conversations with my humans and community. None of those things started with the business vision. None of those things thought how many downloads or impact in the world I could have. It was just about the joy and the fun. And that's why the tequila piece is so important in this process. So find that balance. Go within. I wish you all the success in whatever you're doing right now. And I'm sure many of you, like me, are just getting started. We've got a long way to go, and it's going to turn out completely different than whatever we thought it was going to be. But I pray God, universe, Madonna is in your corner like it is mine, and I can be as useful as possible in this world, mostly for my young humans, but for all humans. And this is kind of funny because small anecdote, we had a conversation with my CrossFit crew the other day about having kids at events. And I was like, no, dude, I don't like having kids at like our drinking events and the socials. I'm like, we can do some stuff without kids. And it's not because I don't have kids. It's because I should have clarified this. I don't love kids around drinking humans and kids and humans, adults partying, because kids are absorbing all the intel, and intel gets a little loose when alcohol's or whatever is involved. So my casual PSA is to my parents, my leaders, myself included, you are your kids' first influencers as parents. So I just want to clarify, just like Chelsea Handler, I do love kids. I don't love kids around, partying humans, adults. Just two things I think that can be separate, because they are listening. And I remember parties as a kid and Intel being like, okay, adults know nothing. Maybe universe put me there because I need to know that, because I was like, well, good, I'm not listening anyway. So there's that full circle. In real time, you're feeling that full circle moment right there. So anyways, that is it. Thank you again. I hope this journey has inspired you to take a step forward, or encourage you to continue stepping in that journey. Do the thing, follow your heart, mostly just be yourself. I know it's the most cliche thing. I'm wearing a shirt. This is one of my favorite shirts from literally high school. And I was a weirdo in this, hot yellow neon shirt, and I loved it then. I love it now. And I'm still that weird kid from high school. It doesn't really make sense, but it makes sense to me. And while so much has changed, so much hasn't changed. So stay true to your authentic self. Believe in the dream and just fucking do the damn thing. I'm here for you if I can help you. Reach out, and sincere gratitude for everybody that's helped in this process. I absolutely love everyone so much. I'm so excited for what's next. Thank you for showing up. I will continue to show up for you. And if there's something I could do for you, please don't hesitate to reach out. And let's go for right now and years to come. I believe in you. I believe in myself, and I'm excited to see what's next. Cheers. Please go check out our sponsors, Colorado Clownfish, water safety lessons and training for all ages. They believe in life skills through sports, so go check them out. Our very favorite Plantiva products you can trust, delivering results you can feel at plantiva.com. Go check them out. They keep fueling my journey, heart and soul. So go check out our sponsors. We will be wherever you get your podcast. The video will be on YouTube. Cheers to 300 more and beyond. Thank you. God bless. Cheers.
Thank you for joining Turmeric and Tequila with your host, Kristen Olson. Tune in next time, and don't forget to subscribe on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.